Welcome to my channel.
And this is English Podcast Station.
Today we're tackling something huge. Finding that balance between work and family.
It's a big one.
And for lots of you listening, there's another layer, right? Learning English. It can feel like, well, just one more thing to juggle.
Yeah, it definitely can feel that way. Like adding more pressure when you're already stretched thin.
But what if we flip that? What if improving your English could actually, help with the balance? That's what we're going to explore today, especially for beginner learners, looking at some real life stories and tips.
It's an interesting angle, isn't it? Because often learning a language feels separate. But we're seeing how integrating it smartly might actually, make other things work a bit better, find some equilibrium.
Okay, so let's start with John. He's a software engineer, started working from home. Sounds great on paper, right? More family time.
Yeah, you'd think so. But what happened?
Well, he found those lines between work and home got super blurry, like really easily. He'd be deep into coding and suddenly, his daughter needs help with homework.
The classic work from home dilemma, that constant pull in different directions.
Exactly. A real tug of war for his attention.
And John's story really flags up that need for intentional time management, doesn't it? It's not just about where you work, but how you structure that time.
He had to actively carve out specific times. Okay, this is work time. And just as crucial, this is dedicated family time. No interruptions.
Right. Being physically present isn't the same as being mentally and emotionally available. That's the key difference he had to figure out.
And this connects really well to learning English, actually. You don't always need these massive blocks of study time. Think about David, the teacher in one story. Yeah. He squeezed in a quick run even after a long day. It's about that consistency.
Exactly. Small, regular bursts of focused English practice can be surprisingly powerful. Maybe 15 minutes on your commute, listening to something. Or while doing chores.
Yeah, those little pockets add up. It's not about finding 3 extra hours you don't have.
And that taps into how we learn, really. Short, repeated exposures, spaced repetition help things stick without frying your brain, especially for beginners juggling life.
Like Amina, the shop owner. She aimed for, 30 minutes of English practice a day?
Just 30 minutes. Seems small, maybe, but that consistency paid off big time for her, as we'll see. It's manageable.
Okay, so time management and consistency are key.
Right.
Let's shift a bit to support. Emily, the nurse working tough night shifts. Her husband, Mark, stepped up with childcare.
That teamwork was crucial for her, wasn't it? It allowed her to focus on a really demanding job.
Totally. And if you think about learning English as another demanding thing,
that support principle is just as important. You're not doing it alone, or you shouldn't have to.
Right? Could be family helping out practically give you that study time, or maybe friends, a steady buddy.
Or even an online community, like the English Pod community that was mentioned. That shared journey, the encouragement. It makes a real difference.
Definitely. Think about Laura being afraid to speak. Her colleague Tom just saying, hey, mistakes are okay.
That wasn't just being nice. It directly tackled her biggest hurdle, that fear. Support can be emotional just as much as practical.
Such a good point. Just knowing someone gets it, someone's cheering you on, that can keep you going when it feels tough.
Yeah, when you hit those inevitable bumps in the road.
And speaking of bumps, that feeling of being totally overwhelmed, work, family, maybe struggling with a grammar point. Rachel, the young professional, felt that pressure intensely at her new job. Overload.
How did she handle it?
Well, her story shows something fundamental, really, for managing stress everywhere in life. Stepping back, she took a simple walk in the park with her husband.
Just a walk.
Yeah, but it wasn't just stretching her legs. It gave her mind space to decompress, to kind of process things subconsciously. She came back feeling clearer, more focused.
Okay, I see the parallel for English learners immediately when you're hitting your head against a wall with, verb tenses or something.
Pushing harder isn't always the answer, is it?
No.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best thing is to just stop, take a break, walk away for a bit. Exactly. Let your brain consolidate. You often find when you come back to it later, maybe the next day, it suddenly makes more sense, like rebooting your mental computer.
Yeah, gives your brain a chance to catch up. Learning isn't always linear.
Not at all. It needs those periods of rest and downtime to actually stick. Which kind of leads to the next idea. Finding joy in simple moments, like Mark, the engineer, baking cookies with his daughter, Emma.
Oh,
It wasn't about baking perfect cookies. It was about that shared time, that connection, those small quality moments.
and for English learning, how does that connect?
Well, try to weave your practice into things you actually enjoy. If you like stories, find easy English stories or podcasts. Love cooking. Try an English recipe.
Oh, so link it to your hobbies.
Precisely. If it feels less like a chore and more like, well, fun, you're much more likely to keep doing it. Makes it sustainable.
Plus, reducing stress through enjoyable activities like baking or walks probably helps your brain learn better anyway, right?
Absolutely. Less stress generally means better cognitive function, better memory, better learning capacity. It all connects.
Okay, good stuff. Let's talk about Peter, the accountant. He was struggling, working late all the time, missing out on time with his daughter.
Yeah, a classic work-life conflict.
What changed for him?
He got intentional. Real planning and prioritization. He didn't just wish things were different, he actively set specific work hours. And crucially, he scheduled family time and treated it as just as important.
Made it a priority, not an afterthought.
Exactly, and created structure. That actually made him more focused during work hours too, knowing he had that hard stop.
And the lesson for English learners is pretty direct here, isn't it?
Yeah, create a study plan, schedule it in. Even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes a day, put it in your calendar like any other appointment.
Treat it like a non-negotiable meeting with yourself.
Right. Because relying on finding spare time, well, when does that ever actually happen consistently?
Good point. Okay, let's tackle a big one. Fear of mistakes. Laura, you mentioned her earlier. She was terrified of speaking English incorrectly.
So common, especially for beginners, it can be paralyzing.
What helped her start getting past that?
It was that reassurance from her colleague, Tom. Basically saying, look, everyone makes mistakes. It's part of learning. What matters is you're trying, you're communicating.
Reframing errors not as failures, but as feedback.
Exactly. As essential learning opportunities. Each mistake shows you where you need a bit more practice or understanding. It's just data, really.
So, message to everyone listening. Please don't let that fear stop you from practicing. Every time you speak, even if it's not perfect, you're learning.
Absolutely. Avoiding speaking just reinforces the fear and slows down your progress. You have to embrace the messiness of learning.
Okay? Now, Sam, the chef, he had trouble understanding different English accents, especially fast speakers. Got discouraged trying to catch every word.
Ah, yes. Listening comprehension challenges.
What was his breakthrough?
He realized he didn't need to understand every single word. Focusing on the main idea, the overall message, was often enough. Like, with a new waiter with a strong accent, he could still get the gist.
That's huge for beginners, isn't it? Don't stress about perfection. Aim for understanding the core message.
Right. Don't get bogged down. Listen for keywords, context clues. Your brain gets better at filling in the gaps with more exposure.
So focus on the big picture first. The details will come with time and practice.
And it also shows why listening to lots of different kinds of English, different accents, different speeds is so valuable early on, makes your listening skills more flexible.
We mentioned goals earlier with Amina. The resources really emphasize setting achievable goals. Why is that specific, manageable goal setting so important? Like her 30 minutes.
Well, clear, concrete, realistic goals give you direction. They keep you motivated. Amina's 30 minutes wasn't vague, like get fluent. It was an action she could actually do each day.
And ticking that off gives you a little win, right?
Exactly. A sense of accomplishment. That builds momentum. Small wins add up to big progress over time. It makes the whole process feel less overwhelming.
Yeah, I found that myself learning another language. I aimed for just one short podcast daily, sometimes only 10 minutes. But doing it consistently made a noticeable difference in my listening over time.
That consistency is the magic ingredient. Short, regular sessions beat infrequent marathon study sessions, especially when you're starting out. Keeps the language fresh in your mind.
Okay, so goal setting builds momentum. Let's talk confidence. We saw Laura gain some by reframing mistakes. What about Amina, the shop owner again? How did her daily practice build her confidence with customers?
Amina's story is great because it shows that positive feedback loop. She practiced phrases for her shop, right? Then she used them with real customers.
And when it worked.
Exactly. When she understood someone or made herself understood, even simply, that was a real confidence boost. It showed her, hey, I can do this.
Which then probably made her more willing to try again next time.
Precisely. Each successful little interaction chipped away at the nervousness and built belief in her ability. Practice leads to small successes. Successes build confidence. Confidence fuels more practice. A virtuous cycle.
Love that. Okay, now applying this, learning practical phrases for specific situations. Haroon, the delivery guy, learned polite email phrases.
Yeah, and it made a real difference. Clearer communication, even got praise from his manager.
Why is that focused approach so good for beginners? Learning phrases for your specific needs.
Because it's immediately useful. Haroon didn't try to learn all of English grammar. He focused on his problem. Writing better emails. It solved a real-world issue and showed him the direct value of his learning. That's super motivating.
Like Zainab with her cooking service script, or Rashid saving delivery phrases. Very targeted.
It's task-based learning. Learning the language you need to do the things you actually need to do. Much more relevant and efficient than just memorizing random vocabulary lists.
And probably feels less daunting too, right? Instead of learn English, it's learn how to take an order or learn how to ask for directions.
Exactly. Breaks it down into manageable, achievable chunks with immediate payoff.
And Fatima, the teacher, writing about her day in English in a notebook. How does that help?
That's a great way to actively use new words, practice sentence structure, and just get more comfortable expressing yourself.
Wow.
Writing about your own life makes it meaningful.
Helps you notice gaps too, maybe. Like, how do I say that in English?
For sure.
Yeah.
It reinforces learning and highlights areas you need to work on, all in a low-pressure, personal way.
And Yusuf learning simple meeting phrases to participate more at work.
Another perfect example of functional language. Learning those specific phrases for a specific context allowed him to contribute, overcome hesitation, and probably feel more valued professionally.
Okay, so we see the how, the practical strategies. Let's touch on the why, the motivation. Tariq realizing English was valuable for his job, for connecting with people. Aisha thinking about her students needing English for travel, careers, meeting people. Ahmed learning organic vegetables for his customers. Ayla needing medical terms for patients. Omar learning directions for hotel guests.
What's the common thread there?
It seems to be understanding the relevance, right? Seeing clearly how English helps them in their specific life, their job, their goals.
Exactly. It's not abstract. They see the direct, tangible value. Whether it's better service, career growth, helping others, or richer experiences. That clear why is a powerful motivator.
When you know the purpose, you're more likely to put in the effort.
Definitely. It turns learning from an academic task into a practical tool for achieving what you want in life.
Okay, last set of examples. English is a tool for problem solving. David the chef, using English to clarify a dietary need and communicate it to the kitchen.
Solving a customer's problem effectively.
Maria, the software engineer, getting help with code from a colleague in English.
Showing how vital English is in collaborative technical fields.
And Ollie, the entrepreneur, researching international shipping because of an English inquiry.
Using English to explore and unlock new business opportunities.
What did these stories show us?
They really highlight how language is active. It's not just words. It's a tool for navigating challenges, accessing information, collaborating, and creating opportunities. David used it for coordination, Maria for technical help, Ollie for business growth.
So even basic or intermediate English skills, when focused practically, can empower you to solve problems and really broaden your world.
Absolutely. It's about using what you do know, however basic, to engage, achieve things, and learn more through doing.
So looking back at all these stories, John finding balance, Ollie finding new markets, it really shows how lots of small, consistent steps add up, doesn't it? Both for work-family balance and for learning English.
That's a huge takeaway. Nobody achieved perfection instantly. It was about sustained effort, small increments, and applying learning in real life.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up. Balancing work, family, and learning English, it is possible.
Achievable.
The keys seem to be those practical things. Managing time, getting support, taking breaks, setting realistic goals.
And focusing on useful language for your life.
And maybe the biggest one, Getting over that fear of mistakes, like Laura did, consistent practice, even just a little bit each day, seems to be the path.
And remember, these parts of your life, work, family, English, they don't have to be separate silos fighting for time. They can actually support each other.
How so?
Well, think about it. Better English might help you connect more with family members who speak it, right? Or it could open up job opportunities with maybe more flexibility, improving your work-life balance indirectly.
That's a really interesting way to think about it, the potential positive ripple effects.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, thinking about your own situation, what's maybe one small doable step you could take, like today, to fit English learning into your routine in a balanced way?
Maybe it's just 10 minutes listening to something on the way to work, or learning 3 phrases related to your job this week.
Something small, something actionable.
And a final thought to chew on. How might improving your English, even just a little bit, open doors you haven't even considered yet? In your work, your family life, your community, what tiny step could start a really positive chain reaction for your overall balance and well-being?